how you remove the airbag on a 2014 onwards VW Amarok. On all the VW models, they have pretty much the same design. What you can do, in order to make it a bit easier, you can just unclip this top cover. It just slots in, and then you pull out this little trim piece. Then this whole top steering cover will come off, and then you'll be able to see it a lot easier inside there. You can see the clip on top there. So basically you just have to pull that tiny little clip over that ear on both sides and the airbag will come off. As you can see, as we've released it, you can see the clip has jumped out on the one side. Now you simply turn the steering to the other side, and then you can repeat the same procedure. Nearly. The clips are quite stiff, so you will have to put a bit of force on them to get them out. And there you go. Just 2 clips and the airbag is loose. It's usually recommended to disconnect the battery, but we're not disconnecting the battery on this one because we're just taking off the steering wheel. Then you can see the only thing holding it is this plug, sort of a push and pull plug. In order to release the plug, it's very easy. Small screwdriver. Just pull the little clip out, and that's it. Easy as pie. Airbag is out. Now to remove the steering wheel, you would just get your multi-spline, loosen that bolt, and then the whole steering wheel will come off. Okay, to remove the steering wheel, you're going to use a 12mm multi-spline. Fits nicely into there. In this case we're going to use a power bar. Just hold the steering. It shouldn't be very tight. It's important to note that you must mark the position of the steering on the boss. So usually you can just put a small Tipex mark just over here. Okay, in this case we're just going to use a marker. Just so you can put the steering back in exactly the same place, so you won't upset the steering angle sensor. And there you go. Steering is off. And if you look carefully, this is the steering angle sensor. You can see there's a small little eye inside there. It's telling you on here, you must make sure the position stays the same. So once you remove this piece here, you can see it slots into the steering. If you have it off, then your steering angle sensor is not going to be in the correct place. This is very important, otherwise your steering light is going to come on. Right, the next piece, you have to take off the cover. You can see there's a small, I think it's a T25 or a T20, one on either side. And then underneath, there's one more. Let me see if I can find it. Inside there, you can see. If you take off those 3, then you'll be able to remove this lower cover. Alright, turns out it's a T20. Last one. Turns out this bottom one is a slightly bigger one. It's a T25. You can see it is a little bit bigger than the other one. And with that, this whole cover is loose. Right, it's not too difficult to get the bottom cover off. Then your next step here, you're going to have to remove the locking screws for the ignition. You can see that these snap-off bolts. There's two of them. Usually we just use a small flat chisel and you just have to knock them on the side and then you just crack them. And then the whole ignition will be loose. And you just have to remove all the stalks. Right, to remove the indicator and stalks, you loosen this bolt here. This holds the whole unit in place. You can see just by loosening it, it loosens this whole assembly. And it quite easily will just slide off. You just have to remove the plugs. You can see there's this big plug here at the back. And then you have the plug for the key reader. So not too difficult. Okay, we can pull it off just so I can show you the clip. You can see it's got a clip that you have to just slide it up. And there the plug just slides off easily. So there you have the whole wiper and instrument stalk completely off. The last step is obviously to remove the plug off the ignition. As you can see, it does have a button. I'll show you when I get out of it. It's got a small little red button that you have to pull out. Okay, so this is to take out the ignition switch plug. You can see it's got a little lock. See this little red lock? You just have to pull it out. You can hook with a nail or a small screwdriver. Then you can only press the button. And so that's it. Now it's just to remove these two bolts, and then we'll be able to remove the rest of the ignition. Okay, basically a hammer, a chisel, screwdriver. What you want to do is nick a little edge into it, just so you've got something to knock on. Pause it. Alright, so once you've cracked those bolts, they can turn out quite easily, usually with your hand. You can buy these bolts from the main dealers, but usually we would just put a high tensile Allen key bolt so the next time you won't battle. These are basically anti-theft bolts to make it harder for you to remove the ignition. They break off in the factory, but it's a normal bolt. And there you go. There the complete ignition is removed. If you need to take out the switch, then you would loosen these two little ears, and that holds the ignition switch. In this case, we're going to take in the barrel to have it repaired, because the barrel is quite stiff. Okay.